What's up, guys? This is Kyle Malian. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'd like to talk about the new C8 Corvette that is coming out. It is the first mid-engine Corvette and it's fucking eye-opener. So I'm not going to really talk too much about the specs of the car just because there's plenty of people who have already done that, and there's plenty of websites that you can go to where they will talk about it in better detail than I ever could. But I'm here to talk to you more so about what is wrong with the car. So I'll give you just a quick rundown of it for those of you who only somewhat care. Car is rated at 495 horsepower and it's 470 foot-pounds of torque through a good old conventional pushrod V8 dubbed the LT2, which is 6.2 liter. And also a Tremec 8-speed dual clutch, and it's obviously mid-engine. So the big problem with this car is, well, there aren't any problems with it. There's nothing wrong with this car so far. Nobody has actually ever fucking driven it yet, but still, everybody seems to feel like they need to complain about it. There are so many people complaining about, there's people in the comments talking about, oh, the rear end looks like a smushed Camaro. Oh, it's not a real Corvette, it's got an engine in the middle. Go fuck yourselves. All you fucking people who are complaining about this car, they don't know shit. And that's what this video is about. This video is for all the fucking idiots who are complaining about a car that, first of all, it isn't even out yet. Second of all, nobody's ever actually fucking driven yet. And third, all the people complaining probably will never be able to afford one. They tried to do this with the Supra too, where they just completely went way out of fucking, blew everything out of proportion. Oh, it's got a BMW motor. Oh, I could go on about this. I go on about that car for a long time too, because people pissed me off for that one too. But this is about the Corvette. So a lot of people are really pissed off that it's, well, for the most part, people actually accepted the fact that it's mid-engine pretty well. But they're still ripping it apart, saying that, oh, it looks like a Ferrari, oh, it's only got 495 horsepower. Like, no. First of all, with any type of a design, there's gonna be inspiration from other cars. That's just what you do. You see a bunch of people taking reference for other cars. I mean, look at the new Ford Explorer. The Ford Explorer is essentially a poor man's Range Rover. I don't know how they really get away with it. I know that they used to own some of it, but still. And the same with the Aston Martin and everything like that. Nobody really gave them too much shit, but they're just ripping into the Corvette. And it's completely retarded. And if you ask me, it really doesn't look that much like a Ferrari. It looks as much like a Ferrari as a Lamborghini looks like a Ferrari. It doesn't. I'm sorry. I don't see it. What I am really happy with that GM did is they didn't go too crazy. They kept it looking Corvette-esque. They stayed with the same design idea as the C7, and I think that is a brilliant idea. That was a smart move on them because they stuck with the design that they knew was going to work. They knew everybody loved the C7 because it's a gorgeous car, and so they decided, okay, we're going to keep with this kind of design platform, and we're going to just run with it and make it mid-engine, make it look beautiful. And I think they did a good job. The only thing that looks kind of weird, at least in pictures, is the back end. I do see where people are coming with it, where it looks kind of like smushed Camaro, but the C7 kind of looked like that as well, minus the exhaust tips and moving the center. And that was another thing. People were pissed at the exhaust tips. They were ripping into people with the exhaust tips not being in the center. Who the fuck cares? Seriously. If you're gonna be pissed about something, that's what you pick? And a car that you haven't even seen actually in person. That's another thing, is nobody, aside from people in the press releases and like that, everybody in the comment sections who are ripping this car apart, they haven't actually seen the fucking car in person. And as everybody knows, the camera changes things. I look a lot more ugly in person than I do on camera. And on camera I'm not anything special anyways. So Lord help me, my fiance, I don't know why she's with me. But either way, people are just ripping into the way it looks. They released the interior pictures way before that, and some people are even ripping into it about the interior, but I think the interior looks incredible. It's great. And the most important thing you have to think about with this whole thing is it's under $60,000 for a car that goes 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. That's incredible. Where else can you get that? From another American manufacturer especially. You get the Ford GT, which has 600 horsepower, loads of tech, just like the new Corvette. But I don't fucking know, but it's gotta be over $100,000 at least. And that's just a V6, which people should be really pissed about if you ask me. But fuck, I don't care. But either way, back on the Corvette. So all these people are ripping into this car, saying how, oh, it looks like a Smush Camaro. Yeah, everything. You know, the fucking exhaust tip's not in the center. Who the fuck cares? Fuck you. Everybody just needs to calm the fuck down. And then there's a lot of people who are pissed off just because it was rumored, which again, rumored, that it would have a dual overhead cam, very sophisticated motor, yada yada yada. And GM stuck with the LT2, which is a pushrod motor, 6.2 liter pushrod motor, which I think is the smart move. Because why? Because GM doesn't really know how to make dual overhead cam motors. Really hasn't. In the past, really hasn't gone very well for them. And there's nothing wrong with the LTs. There's nothing wrong with the LSs. There's nothing wrong with LTs. There's nothing wrong with the small block Chevys since the dawn of time. And if something ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm really glad that they stuck with it. I'm really glad that they, again, like with the styling, they stuck to something that they know. They know this is going to work. They know this is going to be fine. They know they can squeeze a lot of horsepower out of it and have a lot of room to build off that for the higher end platforms. That's another thing. But just the power figures, that's the fucking base model. Imagine once they get the Z06 and the ZR1, everything else that they're going to do. And also imagine what's going to happen when companies like Lingenfelter and Callaway and all these other companies get a hold of it. It's going to be fucking incredible. That's kind of the point of the Corvette, is meant to be GM's best. And that was another thing that was also said as to why they moved the engine to mid-engine instead of keeping it with traditional front-engine Corvettes. GM had realized that they had pushed the Corvette to its limits of performance with the previous model, the C7, and they did a very good job. Everybody loved the Corvette, which is great, which was expected. I think GM did a great job, even though they had the hiccup with the Z06s when they first came out with overheating and all that. But you know, I mean, for a track car, you'd think that you should test it on the track a lot, but that's never here nor there. And that's what the big thing is there's nothing wrong with the C8 yet. Nobody's actually driven it. Before you start criticizing it, you should at least drive the car. Don't you think? I mean, to me that just makes sense. But what the fuck do I know? I'm just a poor mechanic, right? A lot of people are complaining that it doesn't have a manual, which, okay, I get that. I can see why a manual option would be great, because I love manuals. I love, I get it. But the big problem with doing a manual is cost of manufacturing. For them to also offer a manual option, it would cost them so much more money, not only just in production costs as far as having to do retooling and everything else, but they'd also have to test that model with the manual just as much as they tested the automatic, the dual clutch, sorry. So instead of say you got 5 test cars with automatic, okay, now you also need 5 test cars with the manual, and you need to take them also through the same rigorous activities and everything else, driving, city driving, track days, everything. You need to do it for all that. And then you also have to re-engineer so many different parts. You have to re-engineer the modules, everything. You have to come up with ways to make that more fuel efficient, with skip shift and stuff like that, similar to what they did with the other models. Because we know GM loves to do the skip shift stuff. And also is just, like I said before, is just trying to find somebody to make the car have make a manual transmission, with it still have it be within budget. They wanted to keep it under $60,000. If they would have had a manual, that car would have just been, maybe it would be under 80 or so, which that would have put them out of the price range that they wanted to go. Now, if I was a GM engineer, what I would do is make it so you could easily swap a manual trans into it that is already in production. So swap the manual transmission out of a C8 Corvette into it or whatever. I'm sure that there's a way where they can make the frame of the car so you can easily pull the engine out, modify things so that you can mount it up to a manual transmission and make that accessible. Now with that, you're opening it up to aftermarket companies, like maybe even Hennessy or whoever they get to do it. But that way GM doesn't really have to do any of the testing, but they can still build it, so that way it is a theoretical option, which most people who buy these cars, they're okay with putting aftermarket stuff on it anyways, so there's a market for it. And then GM could also probably work with these companies individually to work out some way where it doesn't affect the warranty of other components. Obviously the transmission would be hard to warranty something like that, but other components like just electronics of the vehicle, everything like that. And that'd be another thing. That'd be really kind of the only other hurdle that they'd have to come over, is making it so you can bypass all the transmission controls within the ECU, or if they use a separate TCM, however they do it. That'd be really the only hurdles, but GM would probably be able to find a way to market their own bypass for it, which even more money. So that would be my only solution for that. But at the same time, the fact that it doesn't offer a manual, it's really not that big a deal. The reason why that they did that also is because with a manual transmission, it's harder for a wider, when you have an automatic transmission, a wider variety of people can enjoy the car to its fullest. It's the same reason why you put traction control on a car. Not everybody is a trained driver. So you make the vehicle more accessible and easier to drive for the everyday man. More people can have fun with it. More people can enjoy it the way that a trained, experienced driver would be able to. And that, in my opinion, is a smart move. So I'm not gonna... Would I like to see a manual? Sure. I don't know any car guy or any enthusiast who would say, oh, I don't want to see a manual. Because manuals are fun, but they are also slower. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you say, manual transmission, especially in today, because it's not the 1970s. A manual transmission is not as fast as an automatic, or especially not as fast as a DSG, like in the new Corvette. And with that, I'm going to end it here. If you guys want to hear more of my opinions on different cars, or new automotive news, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.